The big story we're tracking for you this afternoon, WION's Pakistan Bureau Chief Taha Siddiqui, who reports extensively on the country's affairs and highlights the practices in Pakistan, the way the establishment targets some people, has now been targeted himself. Taha Siddiqui's car was stopped by 10 to 12 men who were on their way when he was on his way to the airport. He was beaten up. We understand that he's with the police now, and we'll show you two tweets that sum up this whole story. The first is from the Twitter handle of Pakistani journalist Cyril Almeida. It says, and I quote, "This is Taha Siddiqui using Cyril's account. I was on my way to the airport today at 8:20 a.m. when 10 to 12 armed men stopped my car and forcibly tried to abduct me. I managed to escape safe and with the police now, looking for support in any way possible. Stop forced disappearances," he says. The second tweet is from another journalist, Asad Hashim. And this handle says, "With Taha Siddiqui right now, it is a miracle that he escaped. He was beaten and threatened with death and his belongings taken. This is unacceptable. Journalism is not a crime," he says. So this is what we have in terms of the details for you. Very, very sketchy. And these are pictures of Taha. Presumably after he left the police station, he was beaten up. You can see the scars, you can see the bruises on his face and the blood splattered on his clothes. This is what he had to go through just for speaking the truth, for doing his job. He is a journalist who has fearlessly reported from places where others fear to tread. He has gone to Balochistan to show the military's excesses. He's shown what kind of ethnic cleansing exercises take place to accommodate the Chinese in the One Road, One Belt initiative and to ensure that the ethnic Baloch do not pose a problem for the Pakistani establishment. He's one of the first people who came out and said that the Pakistan Foreign Office patted those journalists on the back who heckled the family of Kulbhushan Jadhav. He has spoken the truth, much to the discomfort of the establishment in Pakistan, and he is visibly paying the price for doing that. In fact, let's take a look at what Taha has been saying and what he's been doing to have earned the ire of the Pakistani government. And we'll start from the very latest. The visit of Kulbhushan Jadhav's wife and mother to Pakistan. They're meeting under those very difficult circumstances and what they had to go through, the way they were heckled by the Pakistani journalists. And Taha was one of the first people to come out and report that it was perhaps part of a plan by the Foreign Office to heckle the wife and mother of Kulbhushan Jadhav. This is what he sent us first.
When Kulbhushan Jadhav's family visited the Foreign Office, I was a witness to the way the journalists behaved at the entry and exit of the family who were accompanied by the Indian diplomat. Especially when they came out, they started shouting and screaming, not just questions, which is okay because normally questions are a job of a journalist. And in today's TV world, when you interact with someone and you throw questions at them, and even if they don't answer, that can be aired and made a point out of that particular sort of interaction. But this time around, the journalists present over there at the Foreign Office building were not asking questions. They were actually accusing, they were alleging that, Kulbhushan Jadhav's mother, asking her how she felt being a terrorist mother, asking the wife how she felt about being married to someone who has killed hundreds of Pakistanis. And all these are political statements. And to top it off, not just that, while they were exiting, one of the journalists then started to chant "Long live Pakistan" slogans and riled up all the rest of the journalists, and they all joined in the chorus. And when I saw this, it made me feel a bit of sort of disappointed in my own community, in my own journalist community, and I went on to report this the very same day on my channel, but also at the same time talked about it on Twitter online, and the reason for putting it out there was that I want to tell the other side across the border, the Indians, that while there are journalists like that who misbehaved with the family of Kulbhushan Yadav, with the women who may have been meeting Kulbhushan Yadav for the last time, given the fact that he's on death row and can be executed any day. But despite these journalists did not sort of accommodate for them or feel any sympathy towards the women, but still, despite that, there are journalists like me who felt that this was wrong and wanted to put our voice out there and tell the Indian audience and the world and people across the border that not everyone is like that, and there is still some sanity prevailing in Pakistan, and some people who think that this was wrong, and not everybody behaved the way we saw in the news later on. Also, the video surfaced about the heckling, and then the Ministry of External Affairs in India also complained about it. But putting my voice out there, it's my attempt to say that we're not all the same. Taha Siddiqui, WION, Islamabad.
Right, so that is what Taha has been reporting, and that is what we've been bringing you here on WION, and understandably it has raised the heckles of those in the Pakistani establishment. This is not the first time, we can tell you, that he's been targeted. He has received threats before, and he has continued to fearlessly report on the stories that he believes in, and this was the latest report that he filed. In fact, we can also tell you that while he was attacked today, when he was targeted today, he was working, incidentally, on a story on forced disappearances in Pakistan, an extrajudicial punishment that is meted out to those who do not toe a certain line in Pakistan. Joining us on the phone line is Atika Shahid. She is a friend of Raza Khan, a Pakistani activist who also went missing in Islamabad. Atika, you've seen this on very close quarters. What happens in Pakistan? Is this a well-oiled machinery that works against people who ask uncomfortable questions?
Yes, of course. What we have been observing in last year, specifically, this really.
We'll try and reconnect with her, but there are many stories that we've highlighted for you here on WION of forced disappearances, of people being targeted because they did not toe a certain line. And this not just reflects the state of affairs in Pakistan, the lack of freedom for the press there, but also shows the way this government brazenly treats its own people. Atika Ahmed, I'm told, is back with us. Atika, you were making a point.
Yeah. Of course, this is a question of humanity in Pakistan, and it's not only our elected government, but there are other forces who are responsible for this, and they are silent. Specifically, Raza's case, and those who are raising voice for Raza are under threat and are receiving threats from different people, and mostly those people are Raza's close friends and journalists like Taha who have been working for Raza.
Right. When you see the journalist associations in Pakistan and many free-thinking people coming out and criticizing the government, is there a force that is building up? Is there a voice to be reckoned with in Pakistan, or is this movement still sporadic while people like Taha continue to suffer?
I think on enforced disappearances, this is the first time that we are seeing this much from people, and people are raising voice for this, we have been working extensive on missing persons, specifically after Raza's disappearance, because Raza was part of our team and we were working together. And there are many people who have joined us. We have recently done a seminar last on a question of humanity of enforced disappearances. But definitely, when it comes to state is not helping us, and we are just that. And we have given this indication to state that we will not be silent on this, and we will raise questions, and we will ask. We will even use international forums because we think our state is accountable for this, because it's not really a joke that people and humans are treated this way by state.
Atika, journalists and activists being targeted is not a phenomenon that is restricted to Pakistan. Whenever people in power feel threatened by someone who is going to expose them, they try to do all that they can. But in most other cases, people have legal recourse. You have a court of law to go to. Is that a viable option in Pakistan, or is it a farce?
I think that's a farce, because Raza cases already has been filed, and there have been 3 hearings, and in the last hearing, state authorities were supposed to present their representative in courts, but there was silence from the side, and there was nobody in the court. Yeah, so I think now it's the time that we have to use other mediums. Most probably, we have to build up international pressure on the state to answer this question of enforced disappearances.
And are you getting the support that you were hoping for internationally? What kind of international pressure are you talking about? And there is international pressure, let me tell you, in Pakistan on a lot many things, on providing safe haven to terrorists. It has achieved precious little. So do you think that on the issue of the rights of people who work in Pakistan, on the issue of the rights of journalists in Pakistan, the government is going to feel that pressure and do the needful?
Sorry, can you please rephrase your question, because your voice was breaking?
Sure. It's not a very clear line. I understand that. The point I'm making is that Pakistan is under pressure internationally on a lot of issues, and the government continues to do, and the Pakistani military establishment continues to do what it wants to. Do you believe that international pressure is going to force this government to acknowledge and to address this issue of forced disappearances, or will this be something that will be addressed only when people from within Pakistan rise up and make their voice heard?
I think so. People from within Pakistan are standing up and speaking up against enforced disappearances. Of course, people here in ground are scared as well. They are really scared because they are also concerned about their own security. So that's why we are limited, and we have limitations on ground. So that's why it's really important to have international support as well. I think we cannot solve this issue without international help as well as help from the ground.
I understand. Atika Shahid, thanks very much, and it's very brave of you to have come out and spoken, and we understand that it's not easy for all those journalists, for all those activists who are speaking out against what has been done to Taha in Pakistan today, are equally brave because they're making their voice heard, and they're making a point well aware of the potential threats that they face in that country, and it's an extremely unfortunate state of affairs. Taha's reportage has brought him both accolades and anger. He has faced harassment for being critical of the Pakistani government. Last year, he was forced to move the Islamabad High Court after he received threats from the military and intelligence establishment. This was right after he brought us a report from Balochistan which revealed how the people over there are being treated by the establishment, and this is what he reported on then.